Hey, what's up guys? RhinoRatesMusic here, and we are finally here with my top 50 best albums of 2025 list. So I know it's been a little bit, I've delayed this video a little bit and it's past Christmas by the time you're seeing this, but because this list was very difficult to make, and because I wanted to spend time with my family for Christmas because I've been so busy leading up to it, I've decided to upload it after Christmas and just spend some time or use this time to spend with my family, but I'm still going to get the video out there because I'm determined to. Now, once again, just a reminder, I will not be doing this next year where I'll be posting my best songs and albums list on this YouTube channel. Next year, it will be on my TikTok and my Instagram, so just keep an eye out on that because this will be the last year that I do it through here. But anyway, without further ado, let's begin with this list. Now, starting us off at the number 50 spot, it is Night Tapes with their nice blend of ethereal pop, dream pop, and trip hop on Portals and Polarities. At the number 49 spot, it is Bad Bunny with Debi Tira Mas Fotos. At the number 48 spot, we have Urias with Karanka. At the number 47 spot, it is Snooper with Worldwide. At the number 46 spot, it is De La Soul with a great and emotional posthumous album on Cabin in the Sky. At the number 45 spot, it is Tyler, the Creator, having a lot of fun and bringing the fun back into music, or his version of music, on Don't Tap the Glass. At the number 44 spot, it is Tyler Childers coming through with one of the best country records of this year with Snipe Hunter. At the number 43 spot, it is The Last Dinner Party coming through once again with their blends of glam rock, art pop, and also a little bit of post-punk on From the Pyre. And at the number 42 spot, it is the new Billy Woods album that I cannot say the name of. At the number 41 spot, it is Verdran Suaves Luvias by Savannah Estrada. At the number 40 spot, it is Danny Brown with Stardust. 39, we have Tropical Fuckstorm with Fairyland Codex. At the number 37 spot, it is Sumac and More Mother coming with one of the best, darkest, and most conceptual metal albums of this year, The Film. At the number 36 spot, we have Horror coming through their blends of hip-hop, metal, and punk on Tomorrow We Escape. And at number 35 spot, a collection of bangers on Sudan Archives, The BPM. Number 34, we have Spelling with Portrait of My Heart. At number 33 spot is Guerrilla Toss with You're Weird Now. At number 32 spot, John Michael and Anthony James comes through with one of the most unexpectedly best hip-hop albums of this year, Ego Trip. At number 31 spot, it is Anna van Hoswolf with Iconoclasts. At the number 30 spot, it is Swans with Birthing. At the number 29 spot, Dave comes through with probably his best album to date with The Boy Who Played the Harp. And at number 28 spot, Jid comes through with not his best album, but still a great album with God Does Like Ugly. Number 27, we have Deftones coming through with one of their best albums in a while with Private Music. At the number 26 spot, we have Natalia Lafourcade hitting once again with Cancionera. At the number 25 spot, we have 106 Point Never coming through with one of the best instrumental, psychedelic, sampledelia, whatever you want to call it, albums of this year with Tranquilizer, and one of his best in a while. At the number 24 spot, it is Rosalia with her beautiful, gorgeous, vibrant, and experimental and colourful Lux. At number 23 spot, we have Hayley Williams coming through with Ego Death at the Bachelorette Party. At the number 22 spot, it is Bon Iver with Sable Fable. At the number 21 spot, Model Actrice with their very dark, hypnotic, heavy, but compared to their last album, more melancholic Pirouette. And at the number 20 spot, it is Dijon with Baby. Say goodbye to Frank Ocean and hello to Dijon, an artist who's coming through with some of the most unique and experimental blends of alternative R&B you'll hear that fits in with a lot of the tropes of alternative R&B, has a bedroom spin bun quality to it, but at the same time is something completely different to artists like Frank Ocean or Steve Lacy, something that sounds quite colourful, exuberant, yet also experimental, and I love it. And he's clearly in love on this album, and a bit horny too. At number 19 spot, once again we're shown just the incredible talent that was lost from Mac Miller with Balloonerism. At the number 18 spot, it is Weather Day, following through with their incredible debut album with the incredible Hornet Disaster. At the number 17 spot, it is The Weeknd with Hurry Up Tomorrow. Great way to end off the trilogy, and if this is truly The Weeknd's final album as The Weeknd, then great album to end that, I would say. At the number 16 spot, we have Mon Laferte with Femme Fatale, one of the best vocally performed albums of this year, with some very versatile and colourful production through and through. And at number 15 spot, we have Panda Bear with Sinister Gift, which we're going to slow it down here a bit, which Panda Bear, who's mostly loved for his work with Animal Collective, a group that I myself have loved for quite a few years. I love their blends of psychedelic pop, alternative pop, and also, well, that's the thing. You don't know what you're going to get in Animal Collective. But if there is something to know with Animal Collective's records, is you're definitely going to get a transcendental, psychedelic experience. And you're also going to get a very moody and atmospheric experience, sometimes in a good way, other times not so much in a good way. And I feel on a lot of times it's not really in a good way on some of Panda Bear's solo albums. However, on this album, he takes that trademark sound of his, still with the very Brian Wilson-esque vocals, but makes it more catchier. This is a very summery album, which this album actually came out in winter in America, but summer where I am in Australia, and it really felt like a summery album, very tropical album, but at the same time not in a stereotypical way, and still fitting in the tropes of a Panda Bear / Animal Collective song, but also very catchy, especially on songs like that amazing closing track with Cindy Lee. Just, yeah, so many great melodies, so many great hooks. Just, I love the way Panda Bear takes his trademark psychedelic pop, moody nature, but actually makes it more catchy and not as dreary or as where it's a bit too atmospheric. This album is definitely not that. At the number 14 spot, it is Deaf Heaven with Lonely People with Power. Definitely one of the best metal albums of this year, and definitely Deaf Heaven's best album since their 2013 classic Sunbather. And yeah, just their blends of black metal, post-metal, shoegaze, as well as experimental rock, just sounding so good on this album, on top of some very dark lyrical concepts on some of these tracks as well. Just look at the cover of this album that's inspired by something I can't say on this video. But yeah, incredible metal album, so many great riffs, so many great passages, so much layers in some of these songs, especially tracks like Heathen and Magnolia. Yeah, just great experience from front to back. At the number 13 spot, it is an album that I have not heard quite a lot of people talking about, but I personally love it. It is Candelabra with, I want to pronounce the name correctly, Deseo Carne y Voluntad. Which basically what this album is if you're a fan of artists like Black Country New Road or Squid with the post-rock, jazz rock, experimental rock, then you're going to love some of the instrumentation on this album, because the instrumentation on this album really catches my ears as somebody who is a fan of those genres. The passages sound great, the mixing is incredible, the saxophone passages, the guitar riffs just all sound great. But this album also quite intrigued me with its concept, talking about the very consequential and very mixed relationship that the Catholic Church has had with Chile, the band's home nation, and specifically with people from the nation. And talking about the positives of religiosity, but more from the spiritual perspective, while at the same time also the negatives associated with religion and the Catholic Church in terms of its more troubled relationship with some of the people in Chile, and also even with people of faith and the way the church has exploited a lot of believers. Just, yeah, very interesting concept that I really got into, and just some amazing performances, amazing instrumentation, and great vocals as well to back it. Do not miss this album if you haven't heard it. Definitely one of the most underrated this year, and I personally love it. Coming in at number 12 spot, another album that I think is fairly underrated. It's Miley Cyrus with Something Beautiful. Now, underrated in a different way, because obviously this album is by Miley Cyrus, an artist that you don't typically associate with making great albums. I mean, she did make that pop rock 80s inspired album a few years ago, Plastic Hearts, that I did quite like, but I thought that if she went down a similar style, that she could make a better album out of it. And she kind of does that on this album, except goes even further, goes into some unexplored territories for an artist of Miley's popularity, going into elements of glam rock still that really fits her, but also some elements of new wave and alternative rock. And there's even a bit of a post-rock vibe going on here, especially on the title track with those heavy passages. Just it's definitely her most adventurous album to date. It's her most experimental, and it actually sounds really fucking good. And her vocals actually really suit it. And there's also some great songwriting on this album, and a couple of great features from artists like Brittany Howard. But yet, I still feel like this album is not going to get the love it deserves from both the mainstream audience, because of course this album did not perform as well in the charts as her last couple of albums did, and I feel there are some songs on here that are going to come across as a little bit more inaccessible. But at the same time, I also feel like it's being underrated by critics as well, because, you know, a lot of them have kind of stepped over Miley Cyrus, or would just ignore the fact that because she has made some bad music in the past that maybe they're not going to worry about this album. But don't listen to those people. This album is great. It's definitely her best album, and I hope she makes another album like this again, although I doubt it, because she is a versatile artist, which I do respect her for, but I don't feel she's going to make another album that's as good as this, at least for a long time. Coming in at number 11 spot, just short of the top 10, it is Maruja with Power to Pain. Man, what an incredible album. Such incredible, dark, dynamic instrumentation, combining post-rock with jazz rock, experimental rock, even a bit of rap rock as well. Some great concepts that talks about the dangers of capitalism and the way it just spits on the faces of the struggling, spits on the faces of the working class, and just ignores us and makes us all fight because we are all struggling under the same system, but yet we're all fighting each other when we shouldn't be fighting each other. It's the higher ups we should be fighting. And I think the concept is tackled lyrically, not in the best way, but the way it is explored with some of the lyrics and the way the great, heavy, dark instrumentation really helps propel some of those lyrical themes, just makes it even better. And yeah, the production on this album is incredible. The performances are incredible. Some of the saxophone passages, some of the heavy post-rock style instrumentation. If you like your Black Midi, if you like your Squid, if you like your Geordie Greep, you're gonna love this album. Alright, starting off in the top 10, at the number 10 spot, it is Black Country New Road with Forever How Long, which, yeah, this album, despite Black Country New Road being in a new era, despite no Isaac Wood, this album is still great, and I'm loving this direction that Black Country New Road's going in. Very cute, but also colourful blends of Baroque pop, art pop, twee pop, and rock. I mean, on this album, it seems like they've almost entirely abandoned the rock and just more embraced the pop, which they were already kind of leaning into that on Ants From Up There, compared to, for the first time, that was more post-rock. But no, on this album, they've gone almost completely pop, and I actually quite like it. I'm not going to say I think they're a better pop band than they are a better rock band, but they are still a great pop band, if you want to call them that. Some of the vocals that Georgia, Tyler, and Maya provide on these tracks sound great. I especially love some of Maya's lyricism on songs such as Nancy Tries to Take the Night, and I also love Georgia's vocal performances on songs such as Besties, and I love the very cute direction it goes lyrically on that song, but also exploring some dark topics as well on songs such as Two Horses and Nancy Tries to Take the Night. And the production, the band chemistry on this album is also incredible, and I love it. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we have Nina Zarachi with I Love My Computer, an album that I'm not going to talk about too long because the cover of this album just speaks for itself. This album is very detailed, it's very fun, it's very colourful, it's all over the place, but not in a way that's too messy or cathartic. You're getting your EDM just like how you want your EDM, but at the same time, you're also getting your hyperpop, you're getting your digicore, you're getting a bit of deconstructed club, but doesn't sound too dark. You're getting a little bit of singer-songwriter as well incorporated into these instrumentation, like on songs such as Sing Good, where she's actually providing some very heartfelt lyrics about her insecurities, about feeling like she wasn't a good singer, but then at the same time wanting to make music, being inspired by music. And you can clearly hear her love for music, her love for this kind of music expressed all over this album. Just the amount of detail, the amount of textures, and the amount of fun to have in this album is just incredible, and I love it. Coming at number 8 spot, we have Little Sims with Lotus. Now, is this album quite as ambitious or as conceptual as Sometimes I Might Be Introvert? No, not quite, but this album is still incredible. I love the very personal direction Little Simz takes on this album, some of the depressing topics explored in the lyrics, but also her trying to find some solidarity and peace at the very end with some very beautiful songs, especially the one with Sampha, especially the title track with an incredible drum solo at the end, and of course with the song Blood, where she's acting out, having a conversation with somebody playing out to be her brother. I think the topics on this album are great. Her performances are great. The production's great. There's even some post-punk on this album, especially on Young and the opening track, and also a bit of fun to be had on this album too. Just a lot you're getting on this album. It's very versatile, it's very fun, but also can be emotional at the same time. It's a lot of things, and I love it. At the number 7 spot, we have Backwash with Only Dust Remains, which might be my favorite Backwash album to date, because what I love about Backwash is the way she's been able to, rather than blending the rap with metal, she's been able to put the metal into rap, which makes it sound more cathartic, more experimental, and more interesting, and more intriguing, and dark with some of the lyrical topics she explores. And while there is still some of that on this album, especially on songs like Wake Up, one of her best songs to date, there's also a bit more melancholy on this album. This album is more beautiful. It doesn't present itself as being as edgy or as heavy in a lot of the tracks, which I don't mind her for doing that, but I think this, this more low-key, beautiful sound kind of suits her on this album, and some of the tracks on here sound gorgeous, while she's lyrically, detailing some political struggles, disparities, and personal struggles with racial identity, gender identity, as well as political disparities, but at the same time still kind of trying to find peace within it and trying to justify why she has felt these sort of things in the lyrics she's explored and talked about on previous songs. And yeah, I think she does it really well, and I think this album definitely provides quite a lot of solace for Backwash as a person and as an artist, because it really does leave the book open for what she can do next, whether she keeps going down this path or goes back to making something that's more aggressive, but at the same time she's kind of, maybe buried a small or part of the hatchet in a way where she feels a bit more justified to do that. But yeah, regardless, this album is still incredible. At the number 6 spot, we have an album that I didn't think would be placing this high, but here we are. It's Nourished by Time with Passionate Ones. If you love your alternative R&B, if you love your alternative hip-hop, if you love your alternative pop, bedroom pop, and dance music, this album has all of that. It's got these, very interesting blends of these alternative sounds, but at the same time, it comes across very accessible and very catchy, especially on songs such as Baby Baby and Tossed Away, a personal favorite of mine. The production also sometimes comes across as pretty, other times it comes across as dark, other times it comes across as exuberant. And yeah, that's just what I love about this album, having all these sounds, all these different textures, also some great vocal performances, and some great lyrics as well. It has all that. It's a creative, colourful, slightly experimental album, yet does not come across as hard to digest at all. It's almost quite the opposite, and that's what I love. Alright, coming in at number 5 spot, we have Clips with Let God Sort 'Em Out. I mean, pretty obvious that this was going to rank pretty high. It's ranked pretty high on many people's Album of the Year list, and it's not hard to see why. From the bars, the lyricism, the chemistry between Pusha T and Malice that has never gone away, the great features, the incredible production from Pharrell, just banger after banger after banger that you get on this album. Just so many incredible verses. It's difficult to choose a favorite on here. And yeah, the magic of this album, the magic that Clips brings back on this album that's clearly never left them, just speaks for itself, and you just need to listen to it to know. But it's not quite my hip-hop album of the year, believe it or not. That would be at number 4, which I'm giving to McKinley Dixon with Magic Alive. Definitely one of the best and most creative jazz rap albums I've heard. While the instrumentation itself may not be the most creative compared to other jazz rap albums, what I love about it is just how lively, how crisp, and how amazing and intricate a lot of it sounds, but also quite heavy and quite in your face, but not in your face where it's just completely distracting from McKinley's rapping and his lyricism, where he's providing some very interesting on-sites and lyrics dealing in things such as spirituality, existentialism, and also where he sees himself as a person and as an artist. Yeah, I said this in my last video, but it really sounds like the instrumentation on this album sounds very lively. It doesn't sound like it's jazz music produced from a computer. It sounds like it's from an actual band, and it sounds like that band is being recorded live, and McKinley is like the front man of this jazz band, and it just sounds incredible, and I love it. Alright, coming in at number 3 spot, my third favorite album of this year, it's gonna be Geese with Getting Killed. Geese has instantly, just this year, become one of my favorite bands of all time. I mean, I already loved their previous album, 3D Country. I already loved Cameron Winter's solo album, Heavy Metal. But this album, they've somehow topped themselves while at the same time doing something very different. While on their last album, it came across as more throwback with a lot of elements of alternative country, indie rock, and blues rock in a way that sounds nostalgic, but at the same time not stuck in the past, which I did love. But on this album, it seems like they're doing something that's more different. They're bringing back some of the throwback vibes, but more where they're looking more towards the future. There's art rock on this album. There's a bit of noise rock on the opening track. There's also a bit of R&B. There's also a little bit of, there's some jams on this, especially on the amazing closing track. Long Island City, here I come, here I come, here I come. Just love it. Cameron Winter's vocals just sound exceptional. I absolutely love how moody, yet also how emotional they sound, and just how much they stand out. He's becoming one of my favorite singer-songwriters at the moment as well, because some of the lyricism on this album too is incredible. The concept of this album that, you know, clearly deals with this person who's struggling amidst their own personal struggles to the dog-eat-dog world of capitalism that we live in that is eating up people like this person. Yeah, just great lyrical themes, great vocal performances, great production, just very fun album that can also be quite emotional, quite dark as well. Just so many things, so many emotions, and those many different emotions are also more emasculated by Cameron Winter's exceptional performances. Coming at the number 2 spot, we have Jane Remover with Revenge Seekers, one of the most creative, out there, fun, but also quite heavy pop albums I've heard recently. Now, personally, me with Jane Remover, I have loved some of her work, such as Frailty, which I loved for, you know, interesting blends of bedroom pop, indie pop, but also noise pop and experimental pop. And then there was Census Designate, which I liked, but I didn't love, and I personally think that album and now this album proves that Jane Remover, I think, is a better pop artist than she is a rock artist. Although she did release another album under a different alias, Venturing, earlier this year, which shout out to that album, because I actually really like that album. I actually like that album more than Census Designated, and that album nearly made my list. But, of course, she made her grand return as the Jane Remover name on this album with some very, very heavy and intriguing blends of experimental pop, noise pop, digicore, hyperpop, hip-hop, also EDM a little bit at some points, and rage, especially on the closing track. And she honestly does this rage sound better than most of the other rage artists I've heard lately, even if I did like a few this year, such as Shay and Lucy Bedrock. But yeah, just a lot of fun to be having this album, a lot of colour, a lot of moments that make me go, ooh. So many emotions I'm having listening to this album, and I love it. But coming at number 1 spot, my album of the year for 2025 is going to be Quadeca with Vanisher Horizon Scraper. I mean, it's not hard to tell. I mean, on one hand, this might be an unexpected pick, but at the same time, when you know my music taste, and when you know Quadeca's music taste, it's not really hard to see why. Quadeca is basically the music nerd, become the music nerd's favorite artist for a reason. He seems to be utilizing some of the best genres out there lately and doing it really well, from art pop, indie-tronica, folk music, hip-hop, electronica, post-rock even, because yeah, songs on this, such as the closing track with Maruja, is just incredible, and the way this album ends, the way that song ends, is one of the best musical experiences I've ever had in my life. And yeah, just that music experience alone just makes this my album of the year. But outside of that, even, there's just some beautiful moments on this album. Some of the most emotional songs Quedeca's ever come out with. Songs such as Monday, which is one of the most beautiful, emotional songs I've heard this year. Also, this whole concept of this man going out to find his identity, trying to go out sailing, whether that's literally or figuratively, going out to sea to find his lost identity, but ending up... I blurred that out because I don't want to spoil this album too much, because yeah, this album also has a story packed within it, but also even some of the individual tracks has some great messages of losing your identity, trying to find it again, as well as depression, love that didn't really work out. Just, yeah, so many different interesting lyrical topics that you can unpack just from taking some of these tracks individually. But when you listen to this album from start to finish, I think that's when you're getting the best experience. And this album even comes with a movie. So yeah, Quedeca clearly put a lot of effort into it, just as he did with the music behind it that just sounds incredible. And yeah, it's all those reasons, plus many more, why this is my album of the year for 2025. Alright, so now we've reached the end of this list, and officially the end of the year musically. So if you guys just enjoyed this video, let me know with a comment, leave a like, and tell me what some of your favorite albums for this year are. But until then, guys, I will see you next year back on the TikTok. Bye bye.